Amazon for 1 year. It's actually been a year and 8 months since I started, but I wanted to talk about the things they don't tell you when you start selling on Amazon and things you should be aware of moving forward. So a full year and a half after my multi-7-figure sneaker reselling business went to the ground, sneakers died, sneaker reselling died completely, I was left with nothing. I had some cash left over. Throughout the year break, I did do DoorDash for a little bit, made some money doing that, but there was never really a business through that year and a half gap. It just ended in about August of 2021, and until January of 2023, I really had nothing, and I didn't know what to do. Ironically enough, most of the sneaker resellers that I knew, especially the successful ones, who didn't have wholesale accounts, switched from sneaker reselling to Amazon, so it was kind of welcoming from that standpoint. And ironically enough, I ran his credit cards for slots when I was botting and whatnot, so I could trust the guy already, and I was following him prior to the whole Amazon thing, so I knew that he was a hard worker, he was putting in work, and things of that nature. So I was very confident moving forward, and I can easily say it was the best decision that I ever made. The ROI on that purchase was absolutely insane, and looking back on it, me and him agreed. We just spoke actually like a couple weeks ago. This was the best thing I could have ever done in that situation. If I didn't do that, I would just be stuck in the same position. Nothing would have changed. Also in the beginning, I went to an Amazon event that he encouraged me to go to, and it is coming up in, I think, end of January, February. It's called Amazon Sellers Conference, and there's a whole yacht party, drink a lot of cocktails, have some fun with some of the biggest Amazon sellers in the world. There's a regular conference where it's a bunch of networking, but that was my first Amazon event ever. It was pricey for a ticket, not gonna lie, but I was a beginner. I had about $8,000 in sales under my belt, started selling Stanleys. Yeah, the selling Stanleys went really well actually, because the Stanleys, they were just like a printer, man. I mean, he gave me that and then I just ran with it. I was clearing Dick's. I figured out how to run Dick's through the roof, and Dick's Sporting Goods was just supplying me Stanleys. I sold thousands of them, made tons of money off that. But anyways, at the first Amazon event, I met someone who's a very good friend of mine now. On the boat, I was wondering why, I wasn't netting as much as I thought I would be. And he told me, he's like, the returns on Stanley specifically are just higher, which they are. And everyone knows that now, but I was a beginner seller, I didn't know that. He's like, maybe you should go into something like beauty products and supplements. And that was something I ran with for the rest of my OA career, I guess we can call it, because I switched to wholesale nowadays. I was a beauty and a supplements guy throughout my entirety of doing online arbitrage. It was great. There was very little return. Sometimes I get no returns at all, even though there was a return option. And for supplements, most times there is not even an option to return it at all due to health and safety reasons. I think it is. Q4, I was selling a lot of beauty products as well, on top of the Nike socks, which shot through the roof, just like everything does in Q4. Also, one thing to mention that's really important is the ROI on beauty products was quite a bit higher on average, especially because of the low buy cost. There were these things called Summer Fridays last year before they got suppressed. I would buy them for about $17 to $19, depending on how I was sourcing them. There was a few websites I was going after, but they were selling for like $40 a pop. So my average ROI on those types of products at that time was about 38%. And it was absolutely ridiculous. It was a gold mine. So that is why I recommend to new sellers, if I could give you one piece of advice, stop digging for the Nike stuff. It's permegated anyways. And go for the lower return type products, the health and households of the world, the beauty products. I think it's a much better option for you guys to grow faster. But anyways, what don't they tell you about doing Amazon FBA? And this is the most important part of the video as well. And these are things I've learned, anecdotally speaking, throughout my time doing online arbitrage. And for beginners, I think this is most important, because I don't think beginners should be getting into wholesale without having any Amazon experience whatsoever. Number one, they do not teach you how much relentless work and effort you're going to have to put into the business on a daily basis. I was pledging a fraternity back then. It was not easy, let's just say that. Running the business and doing that was just a nightmare. I still got it done, but I was having to work constantly, almost every single day. Even after that, I was still working wake to sleep. And all summer last summer, it built an incredible work ethic that you can't buy that. It was just insane. the amount of work I put into it. Like, I went to Miami, for example, for Rolling Loud, and before Rolling Loud, I was working at the pool. You know, that's the type of work ethic you're going to need to succeed, especially with OA sourcing. OA sourcing is tedious, it's long. These types of products, the beauty products with the high ROIs, don't come by very often. And, you know, let alone you got to keep placing all the orders. And I was running with no VAs. So just understand that, and understand that you are going to have to put a ton of work into it. There's no sugarcoating that. That's just how it's going to have to go. And that goes for any business. Until you're scaled up to where you can delegate everything, you're going to be working a lot. Also, they don't tell you how many disputes you're going to have to file. And this is a big thing with OA. This is really hidden. I don't know why people don't explain this to you, but there was times on many different websites where I would buy a lot of product in a lot of quantity. And over time, they banned me entirely, and this site, allegedly for legal purposes, was using tracking numbers from other orders that they did ship before they banned me for orders that they didn't ship, if that makes sense. It's a little complicated, but it was some very sly, manipulative stuff going on. And luckily I won the disputes because, you know, and luckily I had a prep center willing to provide the evidence, but it was absolutely horrible. And just prepare for that, because I promise you, if you get banned on a site for reselling, because they'll catch on to it, there's going to be a lot of disputes having to be filed. So, you know, definitely use credit cards with great purchase protection, because it will come up. I absolutely assure you of it. Also, one more thing that they don't tell you is how many more sales you're going to be doing in Q4 than the other months like January, February, March, December. Or not December, January, February, March, April, May. You're going to be doing way more sales volume in Q4 because it's a cakewalk, it's Christmas time, than you will be in those earlier months. So just expect that. Don't be surprised. A lot of your money is going to be made in Q4, but that's not to say you're not going to make money consistently throughout the year, because that's not true. It's just that you're going to make a solid amount of money in December. The last and final thing you need to know about selling on Amazon is deactivations and garbage deactivations. Everyone nowadays seems to be getting Section 3s. Don't be surprised. It happens to most people. They just do it to make sure you guys are not selling fake stuff online. It's very important. Make sure you're buying from reputable websites, and then you will be okay. If you don't do that, you might get deactivated. Just a fair warning. They're not very nice. You know, Amazon is very detailed in these types of investigations. You know, I've seen people get caught for stolen product all the time, and they're gone forever. No amount of money you can pay to a lawyer can get you out of it, because it's fraud. Stay away from the nasty little ugly websites. You don't want to deal with it. It's not worth it. Your account is worth more than all of that. Anyways, that's what they don't tell you about FBA in 2024. I recommend anyone get started who has the startup capital and the work ethic. And yeah, coaching down below if you need it. Anyways, if not, do it through trial and error. No problem with that. Anyways, see you guys later.